WFAN 2020.
Good afternoon at 1 o'clock. This is John Minko. 13 television trucks, over 38 cameras, countless reporters out of Jet headquarters today, all for the Jets' so-called backup Wildcat quarterback, Tim Tebow.
Is because I have bosses too, and they wanted me to stand up and talk to all y'all, so I can blame it on them because they made me do it.
Spring
To instinct.
Mike's on. He's ready to go. On the fan. New York Sports Radio. Mike's on. Mike's on. He'll get you the sports any way that he can. It's Mike Francesa on the fan. Sports Radio 66. WFAN.
From the studios of WFAN in New York and simulcast across the country via the YES Network, this is Mike's on Francesa on the fan on as busy a March Monday as I can ever remember. The 26th day of the month as we count down the days to opening day. The Jets, with this circus, the only thing that shielded the owner and the coach from being part of this three-ring circus is the fact that they are at the league meetings in Florida. Otherwise, they would have been front and center. They held this in the field house because there were actually, folks, 250 credentials to this press conference. That's game territory, okay? So that's how big that was today. And it has become even a folly of bigger proportion already than I even thought it could before they get to camp. I mean, it's actually, and this doesn't mean anything about Tebow. Tebow does everything right. First of all, he looks the part. He looks the leading man part. He's a handsome kid. He's a rugged kid. He's a matinee idol type. And he handles his press conference as, although he speaks very meekly for such a powerful man, he handles everything with humility, with aplomb. He handles everything very, very easily. Anything rolls off his back. He does not have a problem. He can handle it deftly. He is very, very good at this. He is exceptionally good at this, and he is exceptionally marketable with his $1 million smile. So he does everything right, and he doesn't even need any help at these press conferences. I mean, no way. He just walked out, hi, Tim Tebow here. I'll talk, then I'll take some questions, and he could not have had a more seamless 35 minutes. Why would you send out people who are lost at press conferences like Woody Johnson? Put him out. Tebow's a master. Just leave him alone. Just put him out there by himself. The other people are buffoons compared to him. All right? The guy knows what he's doing there. But what is going on with that team is a absolute joke. It is a joke that even John Mara couldn't resist getting in on. To actually say, yeah, the David Carr press conference will be held real soon. I mean, so even the Giants, who usually just bite their lip, they can't even resist this folly. It has become a folly of such grand proportion. But we're 10 days away from opening day, and, of course, Tebow, the press conference. And we'll come back with that. Owner, he's at the league meetings. No coach or general manager, they're at the league meetings. No players, just him. No staff, nobody. Just him, walk in with some assistance from the PR staff, walk him in, parade him in. Hello, I'm Tim Tebow. I'll answer your questions. Boom. 250. We'll have Peter Schwartz give us a feel from there. That is an incredible number for a Monday press conference, okay? And the idea of a backup quarterback having one, of course, is the biggest joke all over the league. But here's the thing. There's a couple of parts of this that are enormous and scream what a folly this is. First of all, Sanchez, you can't hide. Come out and make pick your favorite guy, whatever your guy is, okay? You can do it here if you want. I don't think I'm your favorite guy, but pick your favorite guy. Pick your venue, your broadcaster, your writer, whatever person you want, and give an interview on the record on this. Get your face on, get your quotes up. You look like you are running scared. You look like you are hiding. You can't do that if you are the leader of the team, if you are the leader of the offense. He made a big mistake. When he was challenged in that locker room, he did not speak publicly for a long time. He let it fester. He can't let Tebow fester. If he does, he looks like he's in hiding. Come out and say something. You would think the Jets would be smart enough to tell him that, but they're not. Okay? Because they're the ones who stabbed him in the back, so why would they be smart enough to help him? Then you heard Rex Ryan's comments. I don't see Tim just holding a clipboard. He's going to be playing for us, there's no doubt. Talking about games where he could play 20 plays. Now, you tell me where a backup quarterback is guaranteed 20 plays in a game. You're telling me in the offseason you're planning to have Tebow have games where he takes the ball 20 times in a game? Do you know how many times the Jets ran a Wildcat in 2010 with Brad Smith? 43 times on the season. That's 2 times a game. You run it 20 plays a game? And this idea that it's the Wildcat, it is not. The Wildcat is a direct snap as a change of pace to a running back. And if your quarterback's off the field, it is 11 on 11 football, where the takes a direct snap does the running back or the punt return specialist or whoever you use as your Wildcat receptor. And what he does is he either runs the option inside or he runs the option outside. That's what he does. What they're talking about running is a satellite offense, or maybe not, maybe a co-offense with Tebow, where he will run option football with all kinds of plays put in off it, where they have the Sanchez offense and the Tebow offense. And he even said, he was asked about what happens if Mark's not playing well. Well, if this happens, it happens. We'll address it at the time. You don't even dismiss that as a possibility before the season starts. How can you go in and plan all this stuff for the backup? And you know what the Giants shot out is, hey, last time we won, they got Favre. This time they won, we got Tebow. Next time we win, who do they get? Pogo the Wonder Horse. I mean, that's that's next. But the idea of running 20 plays, we might run 20 plays in a game. A game features somewhere in the normal in the 60s. An outrageous game would be 75, 80 plays, a lot. 50 is a really small game. 70 plays, 65. You're talking about a minimum having, well, it depends. Some games will have, we might have 20 plays with it. 20 plays? What is Sanchez doing during that time? That's your starting quarterback. That's your franchise quarterback. He is guaranteed to be sitting that long before this thing even takes off. He will play. And the idea might use him on special teams. Has anyone, but maybe they should read the Tebow book, where the author makes the point that Tebow has been incredibly reluctant, despite paying lip service to it in the offseason and in press conferences, has been incredibly reluctant of playing anything but quarterback. When asked, he prefers to play quarterback. He thinks of himself. He doesn't like the Wildcat. He doesn't like any other positions. He doesn't want to play running back. He doesn't want to play tight end. He wants to be the starting quarterback. And he and his agent, Jimmy Sexton, who was also Rex Ryan's agent, orchestrated this move to New York. Why? For the bonanza that it is off the field and the opportunity that it is zeroed in on the field, which means Rex Ryan gave them, hey, come here. You have a chance to win the job. That is the unstated story here. Every week it could be different. We'll create all these preparation problems, sure. And you're going to have 2 sets of offense and all this different personnel, because the Jets, who have been such a terrifically honed offense, won't have any trouble now having 2 offenses. This most dysfunctional, toxic team now won't have any problem having 2 leaders. Where you had unnamed coach slamming him today for having a press conference, which Tebow said, don't blame me, I was told to be here. Wasn't my press conference. I was told to be here. So the Jets continue the circus. They have completely undermined what they felt was a quarterback who needed to maybe get tougher, maybe get stronger, whatever. But you are not helping him when you create a secondary or co-offense where you are going to have certain personnel for that and certain personnel for Sanchez. And remember, we're not even taking into account the incredible amount of chaos that is created by Tebow's presence. People who will root for Sanchez to fall down a flight of stairs. The circus, bigger and better than ever. All right, Peter Schwartz was at the press conference today. He can talk about the bigness or whatever struck him about this event. Peter, welcome. What did you think of this thing today?
How you doing, Mike? You want me to bring you back some popcorn and cotton candy?
All right, so tell me what you thought.
Yeah, no, listen, it was probably the biggest press conference I've ever seen the Jets hold here or at Hofstra. There had to be, to me, at least 200 people.
They
here.
said 250 credentials.
Yeah, it had to be about that. I mean, there was seating for about 80 reporters, and then there was an area behind the cameras where there were a ton of people. So it had to be every bit of 250, maybe even 300 people here, no question about it. It was the biggest press conference. Now, I was not at the Brett Favre press conference, but they had that on the road in Cleveland. There's no way. This had to be one of the biggest press conferences they've ever had in the franchise's history.
All right, what'd you take from it?
Well, I take a lot of lip service from Tim Tebow. I mean, he stood up there, he answered every question. He didn't seem to waver at all. A lot of the questions, obviously, having to do with how this is going to work, with Sanchez. And for whatever it's worth, whether you believe it or not, he stood up there and said he's had great conversations with Sanchez, believes that the two of them can work. The biggest thing, the one question I take is, when he was asked, I actually asked him about, how a lot of coaches seem to think that the Wildcat is caught up. The defensive coaches have caught up with the Wildcat, and he doesn't think so. He thinks it's going to work here. He thinks that when you have 5 or 6 players that have a chance to touch the ball on a given play, it can confuse defenses and make them play slower. Now, how long that lasts and whether that turns out to be true, I think remains to be seen.
Well, they're not going to run the Wildcat. They're going to give him his own offense, run 11-on-11 football with him as the the receptor of the ball. But he doesn't really run the Wildcat. He runs a complete option offense.
Well, he specifically, now that's true. That's what he did in Denver. He specifically talked a lot about the Wildcat.
I think they want him to use it by name, but it really isn't. The Wildcat was 43 plays for the season in 2010. You're talking about Rex Ryan talking yesterday about Tebow getting 20 snaps a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably a little much. When he talked about when Tebow talked about the Wildcat today, he said there's a misconception about it. He said the conception is that it's just a direct snap to the guy with the ball. He said it can be a lot of different things. I mean, you could also have, and listen, I'm not saying this is going to work. We won't know until we get into OTAs and into training camp and mini camps and all that stuff to see how this is going to work out. But I mean, there could be situations where Tebow and Sanchez are on the field, at the same time. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
You don't know what Rex has up his sleeve.
That's 11. That's not 11-on-11 football, though. And that takes, unless you're going to make Sanchez a blocker, that's worthless. Unless because what are you going to do with Sanchez? That's just placating the problem. You see, the thing is this: in every situation, the Wildcat has been a direct snap to a running back or a return specialist. Now, with a quarterback playing there, they can call it the Wildcat. It is in essence not the Wildcat. It is in essence a secondary offense, is what it is.
Yeah, it could be.
It's much more like what Cordell Stewart did in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so when he was slashed there's no question about it. It could be a hybrid of what they do. I mean, there could be 2 separate offenses. There could be, guys are prepared to run the same exact plays. You just don't know what's going to happen. And the guy we really needed to speak to today, Mike, is not so much Rex and Rex. Well, Sanchez, there was a rumor he was going to speak to
Sanchez needs to speak to somebody. The Jets, or whoever's counseling Sanchez needs to get on the record because he looks like he's in hiding.
Yeah, there's no question about it. We have to hear from him. But I think the other guy that we also have to talk to is Tony Sparano, because he was brought here to settle Mark down, to change the culture of the offense here. And obviously he's a big proponent of the Wildcat and was a big reason why the Jets wanted to go after Tebow. There's no question about it. But I think we need to speak to him, too, and find out how this is going to work. But you're right, Mike. I mean, I think to a certain extent, without the hierarchy here today, a big deal for the Jets would have been to try and find a way to get Sanchez here today, or at least on the phone.
Well, go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, that's because there's a lot of people here that are not sports media. There are a lot of beat writers, a lot of columnists and TV and radio people here that need to speak to Mark, and we have to hear from him as to how he feels. You can ask Tebow in the press conference 8,000 times, how are your conversations with Mark? Well, Mark's excited to be here, and we're looking forward to working together. I think we need to hear that out of Mark's mouth.
I totally agree. Thanks, Pete. If there's anything else, let us know what happens. Like Tebow does something on the way back to Manhattan or something, let us know.
He may go into one of those hot air balloons and maybe do a
whatever, whatever he might do that will, stop traffic like he did on Broadway on Saturday night, or whatever else is coming on. Now, the other part that I didn't realize till today, and frankly, I did not realize that Jimmy Sexton was Tebow's agent. Happen to know Jimmy Sexton. Jimmy Sexton represents a lot of big players in the NFL. He represents Rex Ryan. He represents Tebow. He represents Bill Parcells. He represents a lot of big people in the NFL, and he's a wheeler dealer. Now I see the connection is that the agent clearly played a part here in linking Tebow and Rex up before the trade was made. Now, agents love to get in the middle of this, and now you can see Jimmy Sexton's hands all over this thing because you want to get Tebow to New York. Got to get him out of Denver. Put him in New York where you can make a lot of money. Tebow's going to make a lot of money in commercials in New York. He doesn't even have to play to make them. If he plays, my God, how many he'll get. Number one. Number two, all right, I've heard Tebow has had 5 commercial offers in 2 days. So, I mean, you're talking, and, the first Lynn, you could take a flip of the coin how fast it is for the first Lynn Tebow commercial, because, you know it's coming. And you now have Rex Ryan's agent and Tebow's agent as the same person. And there's the link that probably had a lot to do with this trade when that's probably, because agents get in the middle of these things in the NFL. They're part of the business. That's the way it works. And I didn't realize who represented Tebow. And now that he is represented by the same man who represents Rex Ryan, it really plays into this completely. But Sanchez has to be absolutely floored. And when he hears, you tell me, folks, and if you think, you're just picking on the Jets, you tell me one place where, A, they have a press conference for the backup quarterback, which we know, okay, or the backup quarterback already has a billboard over the Lincoln Tunnel. But tell me where a head coach guarantees up to 20 plays a game. 20 plays a game. That's a third of the game for the backup quarterback before the season starts. Not if, we're slumping or we need a jump start. No, we expect that to be every game. He is going to be a major contributor to our team. What other coach says that about the backup quarterback? None. Your calls when we come back.